If you're new to Stormworks and want a boat that actually works, not a super fast death machine that flips over in every wave it hits, this video is for you. Today we're building a basic search and rescue boat, small to medium size, kind of like a schmedium, twin engines, stable, useful, and somewhat efficient. It's the kind of boat you can jump into right now, no matter what your skill level is, and start completing missions. Alright you guys, well this video is for you beginners out there who are learning how to get started building maybe your first boat. And we're going to go all the way through it, tip to tail, do the whole thing. Now, the plan on this thing is to build like a schmedium sized boat. But we want it to be big enough to carry a pile of survivors. We want it to be big enough to handle rough water. We want to be able to run rescue missions comfortably. And we kind of want like a workhorse boat. We're not looking for like a super fast or just like a crazy build. This is just going to be basic, simple workhorse boat that's, expandable. But we're going to keep it small enough so that it's cheap enough to build. It'll use a lot less fuel than a big boat. It'll be easy to recover if you sink it or wreck it. And these smaller to medium boats are a lot easier to learn on than like a great big boat, right? So a couple things that we want to keep in mind here while we're building this is, number one, we want to be in symmetry mode. So get up here and click on the red X. Get yourself in symmetry mode. If we look down, the big arrow here is the front of the boat. So I'm going to start building and I'm just going to wing it and we're going to go with whatever feels good. So I'm thinking let's do about a 10-meter boat. I don't know, something like that. Not huge, not small, something kind of medium. Let's build our bow to kind of look something like this. We're not, and like I said, we're not getting crazy on it, but we do want it to look reasonably decent. So I'll kind of do something like this, maybe. Now, when we're building your first boat, there's something to think about. We might actually go a little bit longer than 10 meters on this. Let's go back 10 meters from where the bow section kind of stops there. I think that'll be a good starting point. But something to think about is you want a good beam width. And the reason you want that is just for that side to side and roll stability. Because we don't want to be tipping over in big waves. We want this thing to be able to handle some pretty gnarly waves. So that means we need to have kind of a deeper boat and kind of a boat that is ready to take on the world more, I guess is the best way to say it. So I'm going to build this. I'm just going to say 4 blocks down. We're just going to kind of repeat the process we did up above. But I'm going to do it like this going down. And I'll show you guys why here in a little bit. But I'm going to drag it from top down instead of dragging it back like, oops, hit the wrong button there. And another couple things we want to think about in this boat is, there's a few very important things to a good utility boat. And one of those things that a lot of people will overlook or not even really think about, it's not stability, speed, or anything like that. It's visibility. Like, we need to be able to see out of the thing, right? Like, that's really important. Let's go ahead and get our deck on. And that's going to kind of be the top of our boat. So this section here I'm going to drag back just to smooth out. Boop, 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 boop. And you can control click, for those that don't know, on any block to copy it to your current active block that you're placing. Okay, let's go back into these. And then we're going to grab pyramid here and just kind of continue on the smoothing. So when you're doing these, I always drag them down an extra block so I can just nuke the bottom of it off and I'll have a clean place like this. There we go, just like that. Now this looks like a 2x2 maybe? I'm looking at it right. Yep, I'm gonna do the same thing on this 2x2 section. Just like that. Now we're going to do kind of like some little temporary structure here just to kind of get the 2x2s in down here. Kind of shape us up a little bit of a hole that doesn't look awful. Now, I will be 100% honest with you guys. The more simple you make your holes in this game, the better they perform, generally speaking. Now, I'm not saying go out and make yourself the most ugliest basic boat in the world. I'm just saying if you get super complex, the game punishes you by adding a lot of drag. So don't get too wild. Keep it somewhat simple. So we're dragging this back, and we're going to do one more of these, and then we're just going to smooth it off for a nice finish. And then we're looking at this shape here, over here on the sides, and I think I need to go one more down, and that'll kind of make it look really good. We don't want our hole sections to be too long because there's less buoyancy in a hole like that than there is, in a bow than there is at the stern that we're going to do. So we're going to go kind of easy on it and just kind of play her by ear here. Okay, bow section, I'm going to call that pretty good. Let's just finish it up. Make it look, we got to go out to about here, and this will be the bottom of our boat. And this is kind of a hybrid between a V and like a flat bottom and a V-shaped hole, right? And it's kind of a hybrid between a plowing and a planing hole. And that's kind of important. You don't want, at least in Stormworks for what we're going to do, I like to keep my stuff where it's like kind of a hybrid between the two. You don't want to like have a complete planing hole because then you're up above the waves and it's hard to control your boat. And you don't want a plowing hole because then you're just slow and inefficient. So you got to kind of find that balanced point. And I'm not going to go out and say I'm the best hole builder or anything ever, but we do have somewhat of a decent looking little boat. And we can make it longer because I think it's a little bit too short still. So let's lengthen it out just by using the selection tool, control click the first one, then shift click the opposite sides. And we're just going to stretch it out a little bit here. Just shift clicking all the way around, and then we're going to cut it. And we're going to drag it back to where we think the boat should be. And I'm just going to guess right about there. We'll just finish it off real quick, make it pretty. Okay, that gives us a pretty good starting point, and a hole shape like this really is pretty decent. It's not overly complex, and if we go into get our paint here and we paint a couple of things, we can kind of see the complexity of our hole, and I'll just kind of show you guys what I mean. That's really, let's see, this should be this color. I don't know why it's not painting that. That's really weird. This will not, oh, let's go like that. There we go. And then we'll do blue over here. And I'll grab some other colors here real quick. So you can see that's kind of like how many shapes we really have in the water, minus the bottom, which you're going to have on every boat. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is pretty much what's going to be in the water. The sides will be a little bit too. The fewer of these you have, the better your boat's going to perform. So that's what I was saying. Don't go too crazy. Now that we have a hole built, we want to get into building like a wheelhouse and just kind of get the basic boat set up. So let's go ahead and start with a helm, because that's pretty easy basic. And if you put your helm a little towards the front of the boat, it really helps with your visibility. So we'll be standing. In fact, we could just spawn it in. We can go click on our helm, and we'll be able to see pretty darn good, even though the bow's sitting down in the water because our balance isn't quite right yet. But you can see, we can see pretty good. So that's what we want. Visibility is important. So we want to build the wheelhouse big enough that we can get all the stuff inside it that we want, but not like crazy big where it's like painful, right? Now you can go super simple and just do your basic windows. We want to enclose it. That'll keep our character warm and dry. Yeah, we can do this. Let's do this. Just do it like this. So we can do a little bit of messing around here and kind of make it look a little bit better. Where's the window we need? Mess these up all the time, trying to find the right one. That's not the right one. 3 by 1 by 1, I think. Actually, 3 by 2 by 2. Is that the one we want? Bingo. And then we're going to go back to these 3 by 3 regular windows. Something like that. And then we can see pretty good out of every direction. We'll worry about the back pretty soon. I'm not going to get too crazy. But one thing I do like to do on all my boats is, I'll show you guys here. I'm going to kind of, well, actually, I'm just going to go like this. I like to make my roof like a block, like 2 blocks thick instead of just a single block thick. And that way I can hide any sensors and stuff in there and it won't look all wompy. So it's not really a priority, but that's just something I like to do. And then kind of can do something like this. Like I said, we're not going for, anything too crazy here. Just basic boats. So let's get a door in it. Hinge doors will work just fine for what we're doing. Just put it in the middle. Something like that. And that's probably good enough to get started. Now, one of the key things on a boat that makes it a lot better is to have redundant systems that are, like your important systems. You want them to be somewhat redundant because a lot of things can happen while you're on search and rescue missions, especially long missions. And one of those things that can happen is you could get a hole in your fuel tank. You could lose an engine. There's a lot of things that could happen, and just having redundant systems helps with that a lot. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and grab a medium engine. Oh, maybe. There it is. Medium engine. And another thing we want to do is we don't want it directly in the back of the boat, like back here. We want to leave some space. So, let's put them kind of up here a little bit. And the reason we're doing this is we don't want our center of mass to be clear in the back, but we want our engines not to be directly under it either. And I'll get to that in a minute. The other thing we want is we want the ability to add weight blocks on the bottom of the boat to help balance it. So we can put those anywhere on this bottom section, but we want to kind of just go easy for a minute. So we're not going to get wild on our engine placement quite yet. We might move them back a little bit, but I'll show you guys how we could do that super easy later on. So for right now, we need a couple basic things. First thing we're going to need is a set of gearboxes pointing towards the engine, just like that. And then we're going to need some clutches. And we're going to point them right just like that. It's super simple. Keep it easy. And just grab a set of pipes and run them clear out to the back, and they're going to be somewhere like right in here. There they are. And then grab a straight pipe and closed to go through your hole. Now, prop placement's very important. Very, very important. If you are too low, your boat will want to wheelie. If you're too high, it'll want to nosedive. And if it's too much to the center, it'll just plow. So your prop placement's very important, but right now, for what we're doing, we're not going to worry about that quite yet. So grab yourself these small pitchable propellers. Now, I used to run the standard propeller, right? Like this one. But they changed the sounds of them, and they sound so bad that it hurts my ears to play the game with those. So I just run these little guys like this, little small pitchables. And they're much quieter when you're playing. I don't know why this game thinks propellers make a lot of noise. It's very strange. And next thing that's up is going to be a set of rudders. So grab yourself a couple of these fin rudders. And these are really nice because they scale with the mass of your boat. Instead of just being like a one set strength. The bigger your boat is, the stronger they are. Now, same situation here with these. They got to be not so low that your boat wants to... If they're too low in the water and I turn right, my boat will lean right too far. If they're too high up above the center of mass in the water, when I turn right, my boat will actually lean to the left, causing kind of a rollover action. So we don't want that. We can change these later, so you don't have to stress about them right now. And even though that shows the propeller hitting them, it's actually not, and it's kind of annoying. If you don't like that, you can obviously change things around a little bit. But actually, I think I will do that just because I want them over here a little bit more. And if we decide to get a wild hair later on, we could put in some variable pitch or variable thrust, and which will help us turn. So for right now, we're just going to grab a prop, small pitchable prop, just like that. Put them on a little bit on the outside, all good in the hood. Okay, so engines require a few things to operate. For one, we need coolant. We got to keep them cool. So just knock some holes in the ground, grab some ports, slap them down here like this. Okay. Next thing we have is dual exhaust ports on these. We're going to do the same thing right there. It's really easy, right? Grab some pipes and stick those there, there, and there. And then we need the angle pipes and just hook everything up so it's pointed. Everything's going basically straight down out of your engine. Okay? There's no point in getting too excited about where your exhaust and coolant comes from as long as it's the ocean. Your exhaust, make sure you turn spawn particles off. Otherwise, you have these big exhaust clouds coming out behind you. And it's kind of annoying. And I just turn spawn particles off on pretty much everything anymore because I don't want to see it. But that's up to you guys. Okay. The other thing we need is air. Now, we could put the old basic air filter on. And we could run it just like this. The problem is this space in here is enclosed, and it eventually will suck all the air out of the space and stop functioning. So we need to run our air lines outside, so we're sucking air directly from outside the boat. Now, I've seen a lot of guys do things where they have their air filter there like that, and then they put in, you know, a couple of ports like this. And then sometimes they'll run a gas check valve down there, or they'll just stick another port here. That will work, but you will still create vacuum in here, and your engine performance will degrade over time. So do yourselves a favor and just run your exhaust up and out of the deck, okay? It's easy, and I'll be honest with you, it's just the best way to do it. So just run your exhaust up. I gotta find it now. It's right here. And if you want to, you can do a simple port like this, which works really, really well. Okay, but I like to do it a little bit different. Let's just delete all of this off, and all of this, and right here like this. And that's kind of how my intake air is going to run. So grab pipe, and we're going to use enclosed, and we're going to run them. Little trick, if you don't know which way your pipes just are facing, like when they're in the hole, hold them up here and you can see the blue arrow. Then you can put them down. Same thing. Boom. Went too far. Boom. Boom. And then we'll put a port there, and then we're going to pipe the rest of it out with just our straight pipes like this. Okay, now why would I do that versus just leaving the ports here? Well, there's two reasons. One, the ports, they look a little funky when they're on our deck. They're not that big of a deal, but you can definitely tell they're there. But when waves come over the back of the boat, or you're in bad, bad water, your engines will stay at full power better if you have ports up high like that. And it doesn't cost us anything or add anything to the boat, right? Like, yeah, a straight pipe's $5 each, where a regular block is $2 each. So it's a little bit more expensive if you're playing early career mode, but realistically, we're at 14K and we almost have a running driving boat. So Really, what are you losing, right? So go ahead and do that. It'll make your lives much better. Okay, now last thing we have is fuel, but I don't want to do fuel yet until I get the weight balanced where I want it. So let's just pop it in, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be front heavy. And it is a little tiny bit. So, like I said, we want to do weight anyway because it's going to help the boat balance. It's going to help the boat keep itself from tipping over in bad weather. So grab some weight blocks. And I like to run a string down the bottom of the boat directly in the middle as low as possible, just like that. What that's going to do is really move our center of mass down, and then we might have to move it back a little bit more, but this boat is sitting too high out of the water as is. Of course, it doesn't have any fuel or anything in it yet, and it's still too high out of the water and needs to have more weight in the back. So we can actually build ourselves just a little bit of a weight thing here to kind of, let's just go like this, to kind of help with that, to get it balanced good and sitting low enough in the water where the props and the rudders are functioning correctly. And now we're not sitting too bad. It's still a little bit deep. We could fix that. But I think for right now, that's probably going to be okay. And the boat itself looks shaped good. It doesn't look bad. It's sitting good. Like I said, could be a little deeper in the water just for stability. We can always add more weight later. Okay. Now, that should be good there. Let's get the engines up and running. And in another video, we did an engine controller. So if you haven't seen that, just look at that video and grab my tutorial engine controller video, and you guys can build that easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I'm going to put these, there's a lot of options we have, but realistically, you don't want to get them like, you don't want to put them like right here, okay? A lot of times I do put them there, but it's not the best place because if you run it ashore, you'll break your engine controllers. A good spot to put them is like this, okay? But I like to put them directly over my engines, and I'll show you guys why here in a little bit, but something like that. They could be like here. It doesn't really matter. That would be perfect, but put them directly over the engines, and then we just hook everything up. So we have our throttle, we have our temp, we have our RPS input, and then we have the starter. Same here, throttle, not throttle, temp, RPS, starter. Okay, once again, we're rebuilding redundant systems, right? So if anything fails on the left engine, the right engine will still work perfectly, right? Because they're controlled separately, separate cooling systems, separate propellers, everything's separate, but still kind of the same. So we can always limp home if we jack an engine up. Okay, now fuel. Fuel's an important one here, and what I'm looking at in my fuel system is to be close to the center of mass. So if my boat is well balanced, and this one seems to be pretty well balanced right now, we want our fuel tanks to be low and as close to this center of mass as possible, but lower than it. It's okay to be lower than it. I'm talking like front to rear, like that. And here's why. Your fuel is the only variable weight in your boat, right? The more fuel you burn, the lighter your boat gets. So if we put our fuel tank clean up here, and we have a full fuel tank, and we have our boat balanced perfectly, as we start to burn fuel, the front of the boat will become lighter than the rear, causing it to want to wheelie everywhere, and we don't want that. Same if we put it in the back. So if we put it towards as close as we can to the center of mass, as we burn fuel, our balance doesn't change. So that's kind of an important thing, and a lot of people miss it in this game, especially when they're new. Oops, I went too far, and I hit the pipes, so we'll just go right there like that. And then we'll do something, we don't need a massive tank, but we'll just put in a pretty good sized tank. Now, once again, if we're building for redundancy, we should split our tanks. I cut that hole in the wrong spot. We just want to put a port in anywhere, like right in front of the engine works good. And you actually don't have to pick fuel up from the bottom of a tank on this game. Just anywhere within the tank and you'll pick up fuel. Now, like I was saying earlier, if we want to have redundancy, we can split our tank like that. Then if this tank gets a hole in it and all the fuel leaks out, we still have this one. Okay? Pretty simple. What we do need, just at least to test, is we need a fluid spawner. So put one on each tank, like that. Okay? Easy. Nothing to it. No problems, right? Okay. Let's spawn it in with fuel in it and see how it sits. So you can see, because there's more weight to the back of the boat, technically, even though there's more buoyancy, its resistance to change direction is greater. So you saw when it dropped in, the nose came up first, right? Because it's too deep in the water. And when we went back up, the nose dropped back down first, which is kind of how boats are supposed to work. So we're kind of going for, it's not looking too bad. Okay, let's look at our visibility from the helm. Yeah, I would call that very, very good. Okay, let's make it run and drive. So, next thing we need, throttles. And we want 2 separate throttles to control our engines independently. And we can just slap them on here like this if you guys want to. However you want to do it. I kind of like to kick mine out at a 45, but that's completely up to you guys on how you guys want your boat to look and behave. So, if you want them kind of tipped out, I'll show you guys how to do it. The easy way is just to take some pivots like this, compact robotic pivots, and we're going to put them in the wall right here. Okay, and then we're going to take our throttle. I'm not going to build in symmetry for right now. And we can put them like this. Okay. I should put it back in symmetry mode. Oops. Now, one thing I like to do with this, even if we won't leave it like that, we want to connect them, merge them, then delete these connectors off. And that just eliminates one body from the boat. And also keeps them from flopping around a little bit. So it kind of helps in the way your game performs. A little boat like this probably doesn't matter. You start building big creations, it's kind of a good habit to have. If you can do something like that to eliminate extra bodies, then more power to you. Okay, so we need a constant number. Grab a constant number. And we'll just put it on the bottom down here. And hook it up to these pivots. And I didn't look at my arrows. I should have. We want that to rotate clockwise from where I'm looking, which is a negative number. And I want to do it a half a turn, so negative 0.5. Okay. And then we're going to go into infinite electric mode, which we already are because we don't have battery system hooked into the boat yet. Yeah, we kind of have a little dashboard going, yeah? Not too shabby, not too shabby. Okay. Now, in order to make it look even better, we take these little guys, wedges. We're going to shove them down in here like this. Okay. Now, let's see what it looks like with a wedge shoved in there. Okay. It's not terrible. Could be a little bit better. But you guys kind of get where I'm going with it. We could actually change our rotation slightly to like 0.4. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, pretty much nailed it, right? So now we got ourselves a cute little dashboard that's tipped out, kind of how I think it should look. Okay. On top of that, we're going to put in some keys. I think I'm just going to put one in because if I want one engine running, I want them both running. Oops, I don't mean to be building in symmetry for this. Let's fix that. Okay, now we can hook all this stuff up. So key buttons go to both of these. And the throttles go to both of these. And I'm going to rename that starter. It's like that. Okay. Next thing we need to do is hook up the A and D keys to the rudders. Okay. And then I think... what do I have going on here? Yes. I have a propeller controller. Now this one's actually super easy. I'll just show you guys how we're going to make it. Grab a blank, either a 1x3 or a blank 2x2. And we're going to put it down, you know, underneath somewhere where it's hidden well. And go into the microcontroller. This is going to control our propellers. So basically we have a number output and a, what do we have? A or an on-off input. And then this is going to be called prop. Oops. And this is going to be called reverse. And then we're going to need, I think that's actually, we could probably just go a 1x2 and call this good, because this is going to be really, really easy to make. Use a numerical switch box, hook the reverse to it, and then grab some constant numbers. We need 2 of those. So if we are not in reverse, we want to go with a 1. And if we are in reverse, which is up here, we want a -1. Okay. And that'll just make our propellers always be pitched either to forward or reverse. So grab those, hook them to your props. And then whatever key or button you want to use for reverse, personally, I like spacebar. Just name it. Why is my shift key not working? There we go. Reverse. A and D is our rudder. Okay, and then I want to use what's called a throttle adapter, which is right here. Slap it down there in our conglomeration of microcontrollers, which will probably end up moving at some point, but for right now, that's where they go. Throttle from W and S. Throttle from W and S. Down goes to both the throttles, and up goes to both the throttles. Now, I can control my boat completely by the keyboard, with the exception of the start button, which I don't think I need to worry about. Okay. Let's just double check these. Make sure they're the correct ones. They are. Okay. Oops, I didn't spawn it. Spawn in. Ha! Okay, let's just make sure everything actually functions as intended. Oh, I got a block there. That's weird. Okay, let's start it up. Applying throttle. Oh, we have no clutch. But we can check our rudder. Everything looks good there. I'm revving up and down with my keyboard, which is what we want. Now we need a clutch controller, which is actually, we can just build it into the engine controller if we want. But tell you what, we're going to build a new clutch controller. So grab a blank, 1x2. That's all we need. Okay, go into it. And we're going to say we want some new logic nodes. We want 2 of them. Both of them are going to be numbers. One's going to be an in, one's going to be an out. This one's going to be called throttle. And this one's going to be called clutch. And actually, I should have made 2 of these for independent systems, but we'll get to that in a minute. And this is super easy to make a clutch controller. X times 4. Okay, just like that. Could have just done it with a function block. And then we may have to tune this a little bit. I'm going to cut and paste it so I have 2 of them. Merge them back in. And then just hook your throttles to them. This throttle goes to this clutch. And this one goes to this one. Now, we haven't messed with gearboxes yet, but I'm sure they're wrong. So we're going to start at 2 to 1. Just going to see how it goes. If our clutch is coming in too hard, we'll adjust it. But could have, like I said, could have just done that with a function block. It's all good. Forgot to take the block off my face that's sitting there. So, engines are idling. Props are not turning. Give it some throttle. Actually, that looks really good. Engines aren't over revving, which is a good thing. I want to go down and check, so I'm going to no clip down to the engines. See what my RPS actually is. 9. It's a little bit on the high side. Just a smidge. Let's take it back to the workbench. And we can live with it, to be honest with you guys. It's not the end of the world. But we can click it up to 5 to 2 and just see what we get. A couple other things I like to do, just so you guys have it, is we want to know our speed. Okay, so we want an angular speed sensor, and we're going to place it pointed towards the front of the boat like that. Okay, and we need a dial so we can see it. Let's go up and get rid of this block I somehow managed to put there. And we want to place it. I'm going to place mine right here. Just get it turned the right way. And I'm going to call it knots. And I'm going to say we can go from 0 to... I'm just going to put 50 in there. I know I'm not going 50. But now, I have a little microcontroller. It'll be in the workshop called the speed converter. It's a little one I made. Works really, really good. And you just hook up the speed sensor. I lost it. Speed sensor, there it is, to the from speed sensor hole, and the dial to the 2 dial hole there. Click on it, and you can change to whatever you want to look at. Okay. Now the speed sensor needs to be in directional. Okay. Not absolute, because we don't care about our speed up and down when we're hitting waves or any side-to-side motion we're getting. We don't care about that, especially right now. So let's go see what we're doing for knots and see if it's a viable solution for a SAR boat. So 21 knots is not the worst thing I've ever seen. Could be a little bit faster. A lot of that's probably the weight, but I bet even in its current state, it handles max wind just fine. It's a little light, but overall not terribly bad. If I throttled down a smidge, it would handle it better. You can see it'll go faster in bad wind like this, 30 knots, 40 knots. But we're starting to wheelie walk, so we can throttle down just a smidge. Oh, I throttled down. Oh, I made a mistake on my throttle adapter. The common most made mistake of all times on a throttle adapter. Go to your Helm and turn your W&S sensitivity to max. Make sure it's on reset. Name it throttle. And that will fix that problem. Okay. So we could adjust that a little bit, but for right now, let's get the things that we need for search and rescue put into this boat. Okay. Number 1, we need seating. And I kind of like to get goofy with my seating and put it in places like you might see it on a regular boat. I'll probably not put one there, but just grab these little padded seats, kind of slap them around different spots in your boat. You can do it like that. I like to do them actually like this. I think they look a little bit nicer. See? And we could put some back here. We actually have room for 4 seats right here. And these are good for, like, you know, your healthy NPCs you pick up. But the ones who are, like, wounded and really need to be, like, paid attention to, we can put those guys in here so we can kind of keep an eye on them. Because the little guys will, if we're going on a long rescue mission, you have to help heal them occasionally. So I'll put a few seats inside the cab too. Okay, now back here we have lots of room for activities, but important things are going to be things like a first aid kit. For in-cab, kind of essentials. First aid kits. And you always need to have kind of a pile of these things. You need a defib. And that'll keep your NPCs going. Now, if you want more first aid kits, by all means, add more. Another good little trick for first aid kits and stuff like that, especially for like additional things, is just to stash them under the seats like this. And that gives you a little bit more, you know, storage space. So lots of first aid kits. The other thing that you need a lot in search and rescue is going to be things like a firefighting outfit. Now, with these pipes being where they are, that kind of tends to make it a little bit more difficult to put things where I want them. But I could move them, but I think I actually have plenty of room to do something like this. And that seat's going to be in the way, but that's okay. We'll move it. Just want to plug the hole back up. Okay. And then if we take these little guys, little wedges here, run them down like this, kind of delete this stuff out of the way, do something like this, kind of redo some of this stuff. Don't want to be in symmetry because I just want a couple of these here. That'll at least give us some seating in the cab, and we have our firefighting outfit, and we have room for some more equipment, and we want a fire extinguisher. Always got to have a fire extinguisher. The other things you always want to have are your welding torches, at least one of both types. Okay, something hits your boat, you hit something, you want to be able to fix it. Okay, something like that. And that is like your basic search and rescue kind of need to have things. The one other thing that's really useful to have in any boat is a heater. Throw that in down here. And I'm going to put mine on a key. For some reason, I just like turning knobs instead of pushing buttons. So hook that up. Okay, now the other thing we don't have right now is lighting. So let's go ahead and get some spotlights on this thing so we can see what we're doing. Now our price, we're almost to max price for what we want to do. So we're just going to go simple and just do a single. We'll need some buttons to control some stuff. And that's easy to do. Let's just put a button here. Lighting. Look it up. We're just going to call it lighting. I'm not going to get crazy on this, and you guys can do whatever you guys want to do, but I also want to put in some lights on the boat. So one thing I like to do is put a light dead center up here, like your nav light, and have it be kind of bright like that. And I'll show you guys why I do that, but for one, it's kind of realistic. It's where you would put lighting on a boat. And for two, well, I'll show you here in a minute. The next thing I like to do is put in indicator lights. Not RGB, just regular ones. Okay, now go out of symmetry mode, grab your paint, go to additive mode, and use the dark red on the left and the dark green on the right. And hook those up to your lighting button. Okay, good deal there. One thing that's kind of annoying me driving this boat is the helm is like one block too far forward. So I'm going to slide it back. Actually, I'm going to slide it back just one block, yeah. Merge it back in. Oh, I got the window too, so let's fix that. Something like that. Let's turn the wind off. Now we have somewhat of a functional boat. I still need to fix this a little bit, but we're getting closer. But I can reach my controls better and actually see them better. So let's turn the lights on. Everything's working. So if we make it dark out, and I turn that light on, it's a nice dome light in the cab, being up there like that. In addition to that, we can actually see out on the deck pretty good. And we have a nice spotlight in front of us. So that's why I do my lighting kind of like that. Saves you some money because, like I said, we're getting up close to being maxed out on cash. So we don't want to go too crazy anymore. But a good search and rescue boat does need a couple more things. And the one thing that you absolutely should have in the back here, and I hate putting them up high like this, but it kind of works out. So, but there's a good way to cheat this. And I don't want to spend like any more money we have to, because we want to keep it like starter boat, is we delete these out and make some kind of mock self-bailing decks like this. It's going to save us a little bit of cash and give us a good spot to put our tie-off point for our tow rope. So grab your rope anchor and plop it right there. Now you can get to it from both sides of the inside and outside, right? I mean, the boat's sitting a little high in the water for that, but we can still hook up to it without jumping overboard. Okay, so that makes it kind of nice. And then we need to put some rope actually in the boat that we can get to. Now, generally speaking, I usually just put it on the outside like this, just because no reason for it to be in the cab. We'll never use it in there. So put it there like that, or however you guys want to do it. That's up to you guys. One other thing that's really nice to have on a boat, and a lot of people don't do it, but I like doing it, is a back platform like this. Leave these out, and then we can actually move some of this stuff. Change how our self-bailing decks look. That. We can put, not that one, this one. Put in some of these. Oops. Come on, baby. Snap up there. Anyway. That didn't work out how I wanted to, but anyway, we can do something like this. And then we can run these guys like this. Okay. And that will just kind of prevent you from landing in your propellers when you jump off the back of your boat. Okay. And it really is helpful. Get your rope anchor back on there. Something simple like that. And it kind of makes the boat look cool, right? You got a little bit of a back deck back there. And you can actually drop that down if you want. I don't always do it because sometimes you get into rough weather and you end up banging all around in your boat. And you need those railings to keep you on the boat. So lowering your little back platform, it's up to you. Okay. Now, the other thing a good S&R boat needs, search and rescue boat, is you need to be able to sleep. You need a bed. Okay. And I'm going to put 2 of them in here. Not for redundancy, but in case you're playing with a buddy, you guys can both come down and sleep. You know, however you want to do it. We're going to move our conglomeration of stuff here back just a little bit. Like I was telling you guys, that's pretty darn easy to do. Just cut and paste, move them wherever you want. And actually, if you wanted to get real creative and save yourself or make your balance a little bit better, you could put them right on top of your fuel tank like that. You can actually put them in your fuel tank, whatever you guys want to do. But we need a way to get up and down into that. And the easiest way to do that is to just throw a hatch in, because odds of us needing it are pretty low, but we do want to have the ability to do it, to use them if we need to. I'm probably going to go over budget real quick here, but that's okay. We're trying to keep this cheap but expandable. That makes sense. So we'll do it like that, and then we'll delete a couple off because you don't need that many. Okay, how are we looking on the budget? Ooh, we're right there. So another thing that's going to save us a couple bucks, we go down here and we add ladders, because ladders are cheaper than blocks. Pretty crazy, huh? But it's useful. It's useful to know that stuff. So now we should have a good functioning boat that works pretty much in all weather. Now, what I like to do, and it's kind of important, is to have some way to gauge the amount of fuel we have. And in this boat's case, we have 2 fuel tanks. So we're just going to keep it simple, put in a set of dials for tanks. It's going to be the port tank and the starboard tank. I don't know. Oh, you actually do. We'll go 0 to 100 on these, because I'm going to use a really cool microcontroller that I love for those. So we're going to grab my fuel microcontroller. No, not that one. Is it gone? Must be. Let's make a new one. Easy enough to do. Blank 1x2, and we'll just put them up here. We'll need 2 of them. Well, just 1 for now. We'll copy it here in a minute. Okay. Actually, we need a 1x3. Moppy. Okay. Get into that, and we're going to want to have number input, number input, number output. Okay. So we have level, capacity. Whoa. Yeah, I spelled it right. Spelled it wrong exact time. And dial. Call it 0 to 100 on the description. Let's jump into here. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is a little bit of math. Now, in order to find basically percentage of fuel is what I'm going for on this, right? So if I have, we're just going to need to divide. That's all. Sorry, I'm just getting kind of ahead of myself. So we want to divide the level by the capacity, if I'm remembering correctly, and then multiply it using a function by 100. Okay, and then if we want to, we could floor it. What is the operation? Add-on? Floor. So we could go floor x times 100. That'll take the decimals out. I just need to make sure I did the math right on that. So let's test it. We need a, it's called a liquid meter. We need one of those on each tank. And this one is what? Level, capacity, dial. Let's just test it, make sure it works. %. Good enough. Back into this. Let's duplicate that little guy we just made. Cut, paste, paste, merge, merge. Do the same thing to the other dial. Capacity, level. Now I'm going to save this and upload it to the workshop for you guys. This one is going to be called Tater's Tutorial Fuel Gauge %, whatever. I'll just make a little picture for you guys. There, so let's do it here. E. Spot. There. Good enough. And I will... Oh, I want to save it. I gotta save it. What am I doing? There. And I will upload that to the workshop for you guys, so you have it. So now we have fuel, but we don't have a way to refuel. So let's do that real quick, because that's kind of important. So let's put refueling ports in, and we can put in hose anchors. Those work really good for that. So they just got to go directly down into the fuel tank. Some pipes. It may go over budget, but that's okay. Need a port. And I don't know why I took that out. Pipes. Okay. Now we can refuel the tanks independently of one another. Just like that. Pretty easy. Another really good thing to put on fuel tanks and, well, anything is if you just put, so we want to put a port in on each tank, okay? And then we're going to want a gas relief valve. Now this is where you actually do want a gas relief valve and another fluid port. This style will work just fine. That will help keep the keep us from creating too much of a vacuum as we're pulling fuel, right? Or unfortunately, sometimes it's better. So if you spawn empty, you can pump in and it'll create pressure, which is actually better. But It'll work either way. You just don't want to create a big vacuum in there, and the engines are having a hard time pulling fuel. That's the most important. Okay, a couple other pieces of gear that I find are kind of important, but maybe not necessarily right now or today. But if you guys want to do them, I always find that like Arctic gear is always a good thing to have on a boat. If you plan on playing anywhere in the north, paint them. They look nice when they're painted. You know, paint them to the theme of what your boat is or whatever. The other thing I wanted to do, I talked about this the last time I spawned it, was add a little more dashboard in so it just looked a little more natural. And we can do that like that. And I think that's going to be a pretty good start for a good tutorial boat. Let's just take it out. Do we even have a mission right now? Oh, we do. Transport 1 wind turbine engineer. Machine boat in distress. So the only thing that you're probably going to see missions frequent. Oh, I got one thing I want to add. Did you guys notice how it was rocking? To stop the rocking, grab a fin rudder, this little bitty guy, and kind of put it right in the middle of the boat, upside down. Sitting pretty stable now. Take it for a rip. We're doing, looks like about 19 knots flat water, which is not quite fast enough. I don't know what our engine RPS is because I don't have a gauge for it, but we go down here and look. We're running at 5.6, 5.7, which is really good. We just don't quite have enough oomph to... Oh, I missed one important step. We don't quite have enough oomph in these engines, but that's okay. I'll show you guys a cool trick. I did make one mistake building this. I didn't put a charging system or batteries in it. So cut your clutches off and move them back one block. Merge them back in. Then grab a pipe. T-pipe like this. And you always want to put them between the gearboxes and the clutches. And then grab a small generator. Just, you really only need one, but because we're doing complete redundant systems, we're going to do two. So grab batteries. You need a couple batteries. If your boat's feeling a little heavy in the back or light somewhere, put your batteries there. But you can also use them in place of weight as well. So now we got to hook everything up. So, and what I'm going to do is go from one generator to one battery on both sides, just like that, okay? Then I'm going to hook them together. Then I'm just going to start hooking everything together off of one battery. So it doesn't really matter all that much how you do it, but I will show you guys. I don't care about power down there. I can put it on if we want, doesn't matter. But I just hook every single thing up. And if we hover over this, we should have no yellow dots left, except for the one generator. Okay, so one thing I do want to put in is a circuit breaker. So we got a circuit breaker. We're going to bring it up here. And this one is going to, the only thing we're going to do with this is run the backup battery. So we're just going to go to one battery on one side of this, and the other battery on the other side of this. And then we're going to say backup battery. Okay, and then in order to test to make sure that works, we're going to click on this battery and turn the charge all the way to 0, because let's just say you've left the lights on and went inside your house for the night. Infinite electricity is off, and I'm sure it will not start. Can't even turn the starter. Flip the switch. Now it's going to take a minute, but it might start. It started. Okay, we can push page up. We are charging. No problem. Flip that back off if you want, or you can flip it back on and just let it charge both batteries back up. But if we rev up, push page up on it, it'll start charging pretty quickly. Okay, now you see a pretty good hit in the knots because of the generators. So this is going to be my last little tip for you guys, is how to pull a little bit more power out of your engines, okay? Now this takes, it's a little bit of tomfoolery and trickery here, but it's important for a setup like this. Turn your max power down, and I'm going to go 85%, okay? Save it. We're going to call this tutorial boat. Okay, now I'm going to load in. I've got my desktop here. Go down to the search. Now, kind of, excuse me for the weirdly weird aspect ratio. I'm on a ultra wide monitor, but we'll get through it. Percent, app data, percent. Okay, there's a folder here. Click it. That's going to bring you up to this screen here, and we want to go down to Stormworks, data, vehicles. What do we call this thing? Tutorial boat. Click on it. That's going to bring up a bunch of crud. If you don't have this program, this is called Notepad++, and it's pretty useful for stuff like this. Hit Control F. That's going to bring up this menu, and we're looking for, we're going to type in max_force by next. Down here, you'll see we turned our engines to 0.85. You see, or 85%, you see 0.85. Sorry if you can't see it. I'll try to zoom in on editing. Change it to 2. Hit Find Next. Change it to 2. Okay. Hit Save. Now, back to the game we go. Now, load the boat back up. It's important that you don't go into the properties of these engines because it'll reset that. Didn't hook up something. Gotta get that fixed. Okay. Buckling up. And now we're doing 47, 8, 9, 50 knots. Which is a pretty darn nice search and rescue boat. The rudders could be slightly lower, but it doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit of a deep boat, but overall it should handle things fairly well. We'll have to slow down for the wind because we're going way too fast. Start jumping waves, but the one thing I do want to check, it looks like our propellers are slightly low, just because we're kind of wheeling up out of everything. But the one thing I do want to check is its ability to kind of be really stable.
15 minutes later.
Took 100% wind to flip us the first place. Realistically, it wouldn't sit here for very long like this, right? So we're just going for if our balance is good enough to survive pretty much anything, which it actually looks like it is. So we have a pretty functional boat. We're going to start it back up. It's a little overpowered. We could compensate with weight, or we could compensate with dropping the power down. There's a lot of things we can do, but I'm going to save some of that stuff for another video. You guys should have a really good base for a boat now. And there's a couple things we're going to add as we move along, but for really basic search and rescue, you guys should have a really good functioning boat. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing all sorts of things here coming up. We're just having a good time out here and kicking butt on some Stormworks, showing you guys how to do things. Put your own twist on stuff, make it your own, but I'll give you guys the basics. You guys go from there. Thanks for watching. My name's Tater. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.